It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Hello, and welcome to the Northwoods Cooking Show. I'm your host, Uncle Roy, and my lovely assistant, Miss Callie. Get over the tweet and say hello to your viewers. Yeah, say hello, say hello. Come here, sit pretty. Oh, say hello, yeah. Quit. On today's episode, it's gonna be pie day at the Northwoods Cooking Show. And with the season that's coming up right now, it's rhubarb. And so we're gonna be making a strawberry and rhubarb pie. Won't that sound good, Callie? Yeah. Oh. So of course we gotta start off with making our crust. Now you've seen me make my crust. We've made them many a times on the show, and if you haven't seen any of my previous episodes, it's a very, very simple and easy pie crust, and it's light and flaky. And so what we're gonna do first is put in 2 cups of flour, 2 1/4 cups of flour, excuse me. And make sure you level this off because we wanna have the exact amount of ingredients, especially with flour. If you have just even a teaspoon or a tablespoon more, it's going to take and dry out your product. It really will. And 1/4 cup. And then with this we need a 1/2 teaspoon of the kosher salt. And of course you always know I use kosher salt, but it's true, it's less sodium than iodized salt, and it does give your baking products makes them much more fluffier and lighter. It really does. It makes them airy. And salt is an important leavening agent in all your ingredients, so you gotta have salt in them. Use the kosher, it makes it fluffier. Then we're gonna take and just pulse this for a few seconds. We just wanna mix up that salt and flour. Next, we're gonna be adding a 1/2 cup of cold butter. Now you wanna make sure this is ice cold. Well, you know, not frozen solid, but you wanna make sure this is really, really cold so that it's hard. Because the butter is what's going to make it fluffy. And so we're gonna cut this in. Okay, like about tablespoon sizes. And it also takes a 1/4 cup of shortening. And you want this to be cold too. What you can do is stick it in the refrigerator, or if you're in a hurry, stick it in the freezer for about 15 minutes. Because you want to be able to cut in the shortening also. Now, we're going to pulse this together until this is crumbly, like a coarse cornmeal. And there we go, it only takes a few seconds. Now don't over process it because the heat of the motor will take and start melting your butter and shortening, and then your pie crust is going to be flimsy. It's not going to be light and flaky, and that's where we want to keep it, so make sure that that stays cold. And to this we're going to be adding 4 to 6 tablespoons of ice cold water. We'll pour this into this mixture, and as soon as it balls up, then you stop. Because if you over process, you're gonna melt that butter and shortening. Oh, there it goes, stop. And that was about 4 tablespoons and 1/4 cup. That was just about 5 tablespoons altogether. And then this is all boiling. Let's take this out. And remember too, not to handle that pie crust. The more you handle it, the more it's going to melt. You want to keep it cold. So now we'll just take and put this in a Ziploc bag. Stick this in the refrigerator for half an hour or in the freezer for 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and roll it out. Okay, while the pie crust is chilling, we're going to take and mix up the fruit. For this, I have 3 cups of sliced up strawberries and 3 cups of diced up rhubarb. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Ooh, Callie's right there staring, watching, smiling. And to this, we're going to be adding a 1/4 cup of tapioca. I got my tapioca in a Ziploc bag because the bottom has a hole in it because the mice got it. Oh, to try to get it. And let's see, 1/4 cup tapioca. And we need a teaspoon of lemon juice. And 1½ cups of white sugar. Remember, Callie, I'm diabetic. You probably could use a Splenda substitute if you wanted to for this. But I'm not, because I'm making this for other people too. I can take a sample, but I gotta eat in moderation. And then we just take and mix this together. And we're gonna let this sit so all the juices can flow together. And so anyway, it just takes 15 minutes to sit and then the juices will flow out. And while this is sitting and the pie crust is chilling, I'll cut out and then we'll come back and we can get ready to put the pie together. Okay, Miss Callie, time to make the pie. Oh. So we got our pie crust here. Oh, what's that? Oh, a toy. Look out. Oh, look at that. A birdie toy. Oh. So pretty for that one. So pretty. Oh. Here we go. Oh. Now it should be squeaking away. Anyway, this is the pie crust. And we'll just take and cut this in half. And try not to handle it because, like I said, the heat will even up your fingers. We'll take and start melting that shortening and butter mixture. And then we'll just put it lightly floured on our board. And then we just roll this out. Then take and grab the edge of the dough and bring it back over the rolling pin. Lay your pan down. Zip, zoom. Now be careful, but don't stretch that out. Otherwise the pie will break. So you want to lift up the edges and push it down in. So you don't want to, stretch that out to fit the pan. You want to lift up and bring down in more of the pie crust. And then we can just take and cut off any excess edges. And what the excess is the part that lays out flat. You don't want to cut this all the way to the edge of the rim yet, because we need some for shaping. Now we'll take and roll out the second pie crust. This is going to go on the top. And we're going to be making a lattice top, which is like a basket weave. Now for this, very simple again, just take and roll this out. Being careful to try and do this all in one step. I got the zigzag pie crust cutter. And this is going to give your pie crust a decorative look. Instead of just being straight, even strips, we're going to have a little zigzag edge to it to just make it a little bit more decorative. Now, we'll take and put our fruit, mix this up again, give it a final stir. You don't want all the juices on the bottom, you want to mix it in all over with that sugar and tapioca. The tapioca is going to be your thickener, that's what's going to make it thick. So you want to make sure that it's all evenly distributed. And then we just fill up the pie shell. Ooh, strawberry rhubarb, Callie Ellies. Ooh. She watching, waiting for a sample. You want to grab your shorter end pieces first, because you want to save the longer ones for the middle. And your first piece, just lay it along the whole edge of the pie. You have another shorter one, and do that the same on the opposite side. 2 sides. Now, we just could take a basket weave. So we go over, under, over, under. So that one, you make sure you space it now evenly. And you want your space in between the same width as your strip of pie crust. So another 1/4 inch empty space in between. And then this one is going to have to go over that one, but under the next. So then you just pick up the first piece, lay that one under it, and drop this one back into place. Now just be careful because you don't want to break them, so it's fragile. I did this for this, was it State Fair or County Fair? One of the two. And I got excellent points on my lattice work. They really loved it. But the filling didn't turn out so good. You can be good at one and not the other. They both have to be perfect in order to win. So I'm still learning. At least I know what recipe to use now for my pie crust. And actually what you can do as you're going along here, the ones that are going to go under, that's going to be every other one. Just lift up those 3. So you don't have to do one at a time. Lay that whole bit down. And this goes back over. Okay, now we can take and just cut down to the countertop. Get rid of the excess crusts, because you want those longer pieces down, because now we'll take and just roll everything under the rim. So when you get these ends, just grab them and roll them under the bottom crust. Now we'll take and crimp. Put your finger down, and then take your forefinger and thumb and put the dough out and pinch it together. And then where you left off, just lay it down. And if this hangs over, that's okay, because we're going to go around. And that's when we trim off the excess pie crust to the rim of the pan. And then just go around and trim off any excess dough hanging over. Now I got the oven heated at 400 degrees, and we'll put this on a cookie sheet. Now make sure you do that so that you don't drip and spill into your oven. In fact, I always like to put a little piece of parchment too on the bottom. That just makes cleaning up so much nicer, easier. And now my oven is heated at 400 degrees, and this will bake for 45 to 50 minutes, or until the inside is bubbly and the crust is a light golden brown. Let's put this in the oven, Callie Ellies, and see what happens. Ooh. And then we'll have our strawberry rhubarb pie. Ooh. Oh. There's Callie Ellies waiting for her samples. And this is our lovely strawberry rhubarb pie. Mmm. Boy, that ever boil over. Good thing I had it on the tray and a piece of parchment paper underneath it so I can peel it off the pan. And now we gotta let this cool completely before we cut into it. Just be careful, it's awfully hot and you want it to cool completely, and that'll thicken up when it cools. Mmm, looking good. back to the show. Now we're on the second half and I'm out here at the gardens in Medina. Now this is the Lyons estate and we're going to be planting some impatiens in the garden bed here. It's in front of the window and I'm going to outline that with coleus. So first I want to take and mend the soil, and I've got a bag of manure and a bag of topsoil. I'm going to mix these two together and then I'm going to incorporate that into the soil here. And then we're going to put the impatiens in a pattern going around the bed here. And as I plant those, I'll get a close-up and show you what that looks like. Okay, I got the humus, the manure, and the topsoil mixed together. And now I'm going to take and just rake this, spread this around all over the bed here. This has been, I've taken and throughout the years, enriched it with lots of manure and topsoil. And I always add more every year just to give it a little bit more nutrients, a little bit more vitamins. And it helps to fill up too, because over winter, even though there's still a lot of dirt in here, it has taken its toll, and you need to take and refresh your soil. Now these here were my castor beans from last year, and they love having these, and I do too. These castor beans, they're poisonous, so you don't want to plant them if you have kids or pets. But they don't, or their kids are grown up, so they know better. Their kids aren't going to eat them. Like little kids do, you know how that goes. And they get to be 18 to 20 feet tall, depending on the kind you get. They've got shorter ones too that can get to be like 4 or 5 feet tall. And it just gives it a nice tropical look. I love them. And I have the big ones out back around the pool. And that really makes the pool look nice and tropical. So we're just spreading this around evenly. It's always interesting too every year to find different volunteers and see what's growing where. Because, you know, you're going to get seeds falling from the birds. You know, when they poop and fly over, you never know what they ate, and so you always get volunteers from seeds. So you never know what you're going to end up with. I get some really nice plants sometimes, just letting volunteers grow and finding out what they are later on. If they are weed, well, then you can just pull them out. But it's just fun to experiment. Now we got that all even. And then I'm going to plant my impatiens. Now here I got a nice colorful mix of pastels, of purples and pinks, and we're going to put these like annuals you want to plant close together. Perennials you want to plant far apart. And we're going to take and plant these close together, but I'm going to stagger them like zigzag. Like every other one. Like it may be like 12 inches apart from each other, and then 6 inches in the middle, I'll put it in the next row. So it makes like a zigzag pattern. And we'll do that throughout this whole area here. And then I got coleuses I'm going to take and put around the edge, because this is all shade. And so this is beautiful color for the shade. And the other thing too is rubber gloves, surgical gloves are best for planting, because your finger dexterity is great. You don't have the cumbersome gloves that are too thick to plant in. And these are wonderful for digging the holes and putting your dirt in. You get more movement without getting all the dirt under your nails. They're fabulous. And so I'm going to start in the back. And I just take the empty bag for my cushion. I don't get my knees all dirty. And this here is the Super Elfin Seaside Mix, which are all pastels. I always do a color theme every year. And last year, I believe it was purple or pink. And then one year I had all red, another year I had all white. And this year I'm going to do a mixed color. And I'm going to do it in a pastel. So we'll just take and plant these. And before I do that, I almost forgot, I spread it, but I didn't incorporate it. And you want to make sure you do that. So I have to go through with my hoe and work it in with the soil. Because this is dry soil here. And I want this to be worked in good. Because this is sheltered from the elements, this needs to be watered quite well. So once I'll take and get this worked in, we'll come back and we'll start planting again.
And now we're out into the garden. I'm planting these Impatiens. These are a pastel elfin, super elfin mix. So they're all different colors of pastel, pinks and purples, pastels and violets. And we're going to be planting these in rows going along the side here. And I'm planting these in a zigzag pattern, one in between each other in the different rows. And when we get back, we'll take and do some of the coleus along the border. And here's where I'm going to stick in the coleus along the border here. And these are the coleuses, aren't they gorgeous? And see how that turned out really nice along the border?
Well, that's the end of our show. Boy, was it a tiring one. We still got a lovely strawberry rhubarb pie, and look at that lattice work. Isn't that beautiful? A little overflowing, but who cares? That's why you have the baking sheet underneath there and the parchment paper to catch any oozy-goozy that overflows. And being out at the gardens, oh, that was beautiful and nice, but boy, was that tiring. Oh. Let's see who wrote us this week, Callie Alice. Before Uncle Roy passes out, I'm ready for a night-night. Go naps. You ready for naps? Yeah. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. That was your cue. What are you? All tie it out? All tuck it out? Yeah, yeah. Oh. Oh, yeah. Dear Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, how long does it actually take you to make an episode? Signed, Thomas. Oh, there go the lights. Oh. What was that? Signed, Thomas of Germany, Berlin, Germany. Oh, international mail, Callie Alice. Oh, international mail, Germany, Berlin. Oh, oh. Well, Thomas. It takes Callie and I a long time to make an episode. My episodes are a half-hour show, and when I get the equipment, oh God, it depends on if we're on location or what the recipe is going to be. But generally speaking, recording time, like I record approximately 45 minutes to maybe an hour, and I have to cut that down into a half-hour show. But the actual air time, it depends on what kind of recipes I'm making. The actual mixing of the ingredients on the camera might take about 10-15 minutes, whereas if I'm making bread or something and I have to let it rise, that'll take you know, an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then I'll come back and shoot some more after it's done, and stuff like that. So sometimes it takes me, this last episode's been taking me, we're working on it now for 3 days. But it all depends, you know, when I get off work, how much time I can put into it. So sometimes it can take me like 6 straight hours of making an episode. Sometimes it takes me 3 days where I can do 2 or 3 hours each day. So I can, you know, just for a half-hour show, it takes quite a few hours. And then I got to edit that down. So I hope that answers your question. It does take a long time just to make a half-hour show. But thank you, Thomas. International mail, Callie, all the way from Berlin, from Germany. Oh, that's important. We did the demographics on our YouTube, and we do have fans in Japan and Germany and Belgium and the United Kingdom, Britain, Turkey, or what were some other ones, Callie? Iran. We got them all over. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Yeah, she's an international star, of course. Yeah. So from Miss Callie, Allie, and myself. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Quiet all the time. Is it pretty? Is it pretty? We like to say, eat healthy, be safe, and spread the sunshine. Say goodbye, Callies. Yeah!